Now that I have made 50 and odd videos and plan to make several more, let us walk through step by step on how one could make use of this channel, what one can learn here, who can benefit out of this channel. So it'd be very useful for a learner. So, what is this channel for? What do you learn, written or spoken language? Firstly, as a learner, you should appreciate that Tamil has two very distinctive styles, spoken and written. Though all the language will have this distinction, the difference in Tamil language is even wider. The conversation that you hear day to day is not what you will see in the textbooks or a newspaper. Since the purpose of the language is for you to communicate and immerse in the culture, it is good to learn the spoken language first because you cannot use the formal language to communicate. For instance, I've heard a few people, Westerners or people in other Asian countries, learning Tamil, the formal Tamil, and trying to speak. Yes, it is impressive because they have put in a lot of effort, but it doesn't help in communicating. People do understand if you're going to talk to a youth or a children will not, a child will not understand what you speak, the formal language. And if you're going to talk to a youth, they're going to give you a quizzical look. It's going to sound like some Shakespearean kind of a high elated language, comparing an analogy to English. So it's a very unusual. It's going to sound very unusual if you're going to speak in a very formal language. Having said that, this channel is for spoken language, and I strongly encourage a learner to learn the spoken language first, enjoy the language, communicate with the people, and then you can move on to the formal language. So, to make the learning easier, I have categorized the lessons to different levels. You'll find lessons like grammar with example phrases. So it's just not grammar, there'll be many phrases to understand the grammar. Second, there'll be simple short phrases for travelers and beginners. They are separate. You'll find that in a different color. And there are short phrases and simple conversations, colloquial words, and slangs. So if you have a question, do I have to learn the formal language again? Well, you do not have to learn the formal language or written language unless you need it for academic reasons. So you have another question. Cannot you learn the formal language also? Just imagine you're going to spend a lot of time learning a language, but the problem is it may be a very abstract language which will not be used. You cannot communicate to people easily. You will find that only in high text newspapers, novels, and such places. So it can be a bit discouraging if you're going to spend a lot of time because learning a language requires a lot of interaction, but you're going to learn a language without interaction if you're going to learn just a formal language. So it is good to learn the spoken language first, based on which prepare a foundation, and then you can move on to the formal language. Then it becomes quite easier. Is the formal and spoken language completely different? No, it is not completely different. The formal and spoken language, they are well connected in syntax, word orders, grammars, etc. So once you learn the spoken language and understand the language further by watching some televisions, TV programs, if you communicate with people, you can learn the language through them. Then it becomes easier to move on to the formal language. What does the different colors of the thumbnail denote? If you look at the videos, I've made them into different colors just to differentiate that the purple one is more the structure of the language is more for grammars, and the blue one is for simple conversation that will be very entertaining where you'll find a lot of new phrases, sentences, and the orange one is for a more entertaining things like the very colloquial words, very slang words, and the green one is for very useful short sentences or phrases, just for if you're going to a market, if you're going to the bus stand, bus station, or if you're just going to a little shopping in the airport. Those are very concise small phrases. And again, in order to make it easier for you, I've made the phrases of the thumbnail quite easy for you to understand. Instead of using something like a jargon saying present participle, future, continuous participle or something. Instead, it has to be expressing obligation. Say, I have to, I need to. So you can easily understand what this video is for, what you can learn there. So such way, if you can scroll through all my videos, it's easier for you to find the topic. So you can really pick what you want to learn that day, and there you go. And again, I have also used images and pictures, so it's easy for you to understand the tone or who you're talking to. So you can use the appropriate word. Let's look there. There's a two grown up getting married, and on the right there's a kid. So the tone and the words could be different. It can be different depending on the context. So having a picture nearby can really help you to understand what how appropriate words you could use for the sentence, or if you want to talk to somebody of this age group, somebody of this stature, so and so. Another useful tip for you is whenever I'm explaining something and if I have done a video on that, I try to add that, mention that. Say here, for instance, I'm talking about Ulla Poganam, have to go. So that have to go is in the video 28. You can scroll back and find that in the video 28 if you want to further understand that part of technicality. And again, a very useful tip is for you to closely listen to what I say instead of, because there's no proper pronunciation guide, especially for the spoken language. But in order to make it easier for you, I have shrunk some of the letters here and there. So which means that particular sound can be quite very shortened sound. Say for instance, pogano. There it is, pogano. It is not pogano. It is instead pogano. Po is very clear, O is very clear, whereas A is very constructed there. So it's pogano. Ulla pogano. And if it's a long phrase, even I'm not using very long phrases, but still, if it's a kind of a medium sized sentence or something, I'm trying to break that into many. Say here I've broken into four parts. So it's very easy for a learner to understand what each small phrase means. So that'd be easy for you to take just one piece of that and fit into your own conversation or when you make your own sentences. At least this is how I learn a language. So it becomes very easy for you. You don't have to understand the whole thing. Instead, you learn it part by part. Again, some of the words I have faded, which means it is exactly not there in the Tamil sentence, but it's for you to understand what it completely means to make a completion of the phrase. Otherwise, you'll find it very hard. But say, for instance, you said it right. That's the, but that is what it connotes. But you is not there in Tamil. It's only for you to understand. So you understand the full meaning of it. And if you look at this one, this means every now and then you'll see a kind of a yellow thing which directly corresponds to the yellow on the right. Say, for instance, chuma, it means just like that. Chuma wa means you're asking a question. Is it just like that? So that makes easier for you to understand. I have also used Tamil script. So you get used to the Tamil script. It's always get good to get used to the Tamil script. So whenever you read it, put a little effort to learn the script will make your job much more easier. And for you as a learner, in order to make it interesting for you, you can ask me for a particular theme or write a small conversation in English based on which I shall try to make a conversation lesson with appropriate words. Or if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You can also check my Facebook, Twitter, Reddit to participate in the conversation which I've just started. And I'm also trying to develop a web page exclusively for Tamil, which is in the process. Please come back to check it online once in a while. Thank you so much. Nandri. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of new videos. All the best with your Tamil learning. Nandri, Vanakkam.